Welcome back, Zero to Here podcast fans. Thanks for tuning in. Today's episode, catching up with one of my faves in the real estate industry, Corey Martin. Runs a team in East Vancouver, also part owner of the Stilhavn brokerage. Chatting all things real estate with him, how his business has adapted, what clients are saying, how basically we wake up every morning in our industry now and learn something new about interest rates and recommendations and restrictions. Very interesting conversation. A lot of good stuff in here. Have a listen. Would love to hear your feedback. Shoot us a message. Write us a review. Corey, thanks so much for jumping on. I'm pumped. Like, we've done a couple deals together.
Yes.
We know of each other, I'm sure. I am a big fan of the Ruth and David team. I know you guys are one of the best out there in your neck of the woods.
Thank you.
Life's changed so much in real estate in the last few weeks, eh?
It's been pretty dramatic.
It's bonkers. Because how long have you been in the industry?
I was actually just talking to the other agents at Stilhavn recently. I started late 2008, literally weeks before the global financial crisis.
Wow.
And so, I've some familiar feelings in some ways to the way that the market reacted at that time to what's going on now. Obviously, quite different than then in different circumstances, but the market reactions feel a little similar.
Interesting. Okay. That's right when Jamie started as well, like middle 2008 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he was comparing the two as well. It seems like I didn't go through that. Obviously, I've been in the industry 6 years, but it seems like every day is educational for me. Like I wake up in the morning and there's a new announcement, or interest rates have changed, or now landlords can't evict people. Like there's like every day there's something different.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant learning curve, and I'm just trying to keep up to date with it. But it's
not easy.
No, totally. It makes our conversations with clients very challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. It's first thing I'll say is I can't believe you've only been in the business 6 years, Denny. You're doing deals together. You're a pro, so it's been a pleasure. That's impressive. Good for you.
I appreciate that. Thank
you. It seems like every day it's you're either getting an email from the real estate council, the real estate association, the real estate board, or all three, and then brokerage level announcements, and it's just then you see what's happening in the media, and you're getting all the bombarded by different announcements for mortgage brokers and whatnot who are themselves, to their credit, doing what they can to stay on top of things as well with this like ever changing landscape.
Totally.
On all levels, right? And it's it's all these different associations, but then there's also all three levels of government, right? Municipal regulations, provincial, federal, and it's just, you're absolutely right. Every day, it's like if you don't double check everything before you talk to a client, there's a good chance that you might have missed a new development.
For sure. How has your guys' business changed in the last couple of weeks? Obviously, like as an industry, we've taken a step back from open houses. A lot of I'm kind of getting mixed feelings from agents, throughout Fraser Valley and Greater Vancouver of how they're conducting business, whether they're continuing to show properties or they're just saying, let's pause for 3-4 weeks and see what happens. But how have you guys kind of adjusted?
I'm hearing very similar sentiments, right? And, it's interesting because now as a co-owner of a real estate brokerage, it's,
right.
You're having communications with, we've got about 55 agents. So going through, everybody's feelings and getting a sense of where they're at. And I agree with you. It's a bit of a mixed bag. I think that as a whole, I find that most people are struggling with, what is the right decision, right? And where do I draw the line, and what's the right thing to do here? Mm-hmm. And I think that, for myself and my team specifically, we're, it was interesting when the government came out and labeled us as an essential service, right? Which right. I agree with in many ways. I think that it's really important for everybody, especially agents, to understand what that means exactly. It doesn't mean business as usual.
Yeah.
It certainly doesn't for us. I mean, but when you've got clients who are, whether it's the seller who's already purchased their property and they need to get their home sold, or a seller who is needing to sell because they could face really challenging financial situations, or whatever the case may be, there are scenarios, I think, where our services are still needed. And I think that for us in particular, I won't speak for others, but we have been in a position where we're absolutely limiting our interactions, certainly on a personal, one-to-one and showings and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I was laughing because I had a listing, about a week and a half ago, where it was just before things really started to kick off. It had really started going, but it wasn't where it is now. And it took me almost 5.5 hours to get 5 groups through to show a property. Right. And I was there with my full CSI crime setup, my bucket of sanitizers and Lysol and wipes and rubber gloves and the whole thing. And I think it's just a different approach. But for sure, there's those clients that I think that we have the fiduciary duty to protect, who've enlisted us, that they need our services. But I think I would hope that people aren't out there, door knocking and aggressively prospecting, things like that, because I just really think it's not the time, and doesn't reflect well on us as an industry or our individual teams. Right? I think it's a time for us to really be putting everybody's safety at the forefront, whether it's your personal safety, your team, the clients, everybody. I think we've got a duty to do what we can to, as they say, flatten the curve.
Totally. It sounds like we're kind of handling things as pretty similar to how your team is changing, and still showing properties cautiously and asking buyers to, we do property videos for every property. So have a look at the property video. It walks you through, it shows you the view, it shows you the exact size of all these rooms. You can get a pretty good sense of what the property is going to look like. And if at that point you think you're going to write an offer, then okay, we'll meet you one-on-one with our hazmat suits on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I've never, and it's gotten better in the last, let's say, week or so. I've had a few private showings that have been less awkward, but for the first 2, week and a half of this, I don't think of myself as a really awkward human. I feel like I'm slightly charismatic and I can talk to people, but I've never had so many awkward interactions. No one knows what to do. People are sticking their elbow out at me. You know what the funniest thing I've had happen is? Oh my gosh, just read it. Okay, first of all, where did it come? Where did this start that it's required for humans to touch each other at the beginning of a social interaction? Why is that a thing? First, why do we need to shake hands or elbows or anything? Yeah. Why can't we just say hello, a quick wave or a bow? Sure. I don't know. Anyway, it's been so awkward. One of the weirdest things that happened, the agent comes up to the door, standing 10 meters away from me, probably yelling at me, this is just crazy, talking about how things are changing. He's got hand sanitizer in his pocket. Then he walks through the door and he hands me his business card.
Oh no.
I'm like, dude, you just talking about not contacting. Why are you handing me your business card? He's like, oh yeah, good point. I'll put that away.
It's just those reflexes, right?
Hilarious, right? It's just, it's been a challenge for sure. It seems like the recommendations are changing weekly on how to conduct business, and obviously trying to be as cautious as we can. But I just it's strange how awkward everything is feeling. Even posting things on social media. So we've been doing a bunch more marketing video this year. Yeah. And a few weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, maybe we had a shoot, and we're just starting to get that marketing material back now, edited, ready to go. Yeah. But we're obviously not standing 6 feet away. We're interacting with other people in these videos. Right. So posting them is awkward. And I've had people comment being like, hey, you guys need to take this seriously. I'm like, I had a disclaimer in the video saying this was taped 3 weeks ago. This wasn't recommended at the time. So it's just every single step of the business now that we're going through, whether it be marketing online or any in-person interactions are just like, it's awkward.
Totally. It's like learning to walk all over again.
Totally.
Right. It's, yeah, no, I mean, we've actually, our team has admired the step up in video content that you guys have produced, and have actually started to inspire us a bit as well. So
Cool.
you guys are doing a great job with it.
Thank you.
And, and I think that the thing too is that the marketing was already going that way. Like it's, there are people with really great video content for sure. We're seeing a benefit on their listings and exposure and everything, which is great. But I mean, now even more so, right?
Totally.
Because we're doing the same thing. I mean, we on a brokerage level, we created a COVID-19 questionnaire, basically, that people have to respond to before they're going to get access to a property. And so basically, like, people actually have to fill it out and sign off on it, just so that it's not that it's going to be a binding legal document of any kind, but it's really just making people think, right? And we're the same. We were just talking about social media content recently, like within the last couple of days. Is, what's appropriate? Where's the line of what to be posting right now? For us, it's like, if you are putting up a new listing or you've recently sold something, I think that, we're okay to do that. But I've seen that there has been some stuff going out there still where people are like, still grinding, still doing it. Nothing's changed. We're still going. And I actually think that that's a really, it's not the best message to be sending out right now. So we're definitely being more conscious of what we put out and how we do it. And, yeah, we've gotten some similar feedback. I know where people have made comments like that, where like, you guys are too close to each other. What are you doing? Right. And, it's like, well, this wasn't from today. My iPhone editing skills are not that good. And so clearly it's coming from a professional. Right. But, yeah, and then the interactions have been totally bizarre. Right. At first I was telling, my team, as I had this showing not long ago, since things really started to, escalate, and I qualified the agent, I qualified their client through the agent, and really made them review the floor plans, the 3D floor plans, the video, and to the point where, okay. And it was actually even, can you match these closing dates if you like it? And it was all the right answers. And then they showed up and kind of scoffed at the idea of taking a dose of hand sanitizer when they got to the door. So I actually told them they were free to not come in if that was the case, right? And I just said, listen, out of respect for my client and my safety and your own personal safety, like, this is just a precaution that needs to happen, right? And they came around and it was all good, and it became a laugh by the end of it. But I'm obviously we're doing this on the phone, but I'm not a small person. So when I kind of stood in and blocked the doorway, they're kind of like, oh, he's not kidding. And I don't have to do that, but it was, it's an interesting turn of events. And I don't, for the foreseeable future, that's just going to be the new normal that we have to get used to.
What have you guys seen in the last couple of weeks in terms of like client perception? Are people still wanting to get out and see properties? Are new listings calling you guys? Or has that kind of activity really died down the last couple of weeks?
I mean, overall, for sure, there's been a drop in activity, right? I mean, I think your team and my team are pretty similar, Denny, in that we do a fair bit of volume, and we all, we like to be high energy, and we are kind of on the go all the time. So for us to, I think, probably similar to you guys, when there's even a little bit of a slowdown, we notice it pretty quickly.
For sure.
Right? And, and then when you're doing as much online content as you guys do and as we do, you really start to see where the online activity is and where the metrics are. And I think so for sure we've seen a slowdown. There's no question. I think that, we've definitely had clients who've kind of pulled back on their plans to wait things out and see. And, not, some of them are because of wanting to see what happens with the market. Some of them are just wanting to do their part and stay home and not be, even taking any level of risk, which I totally respect.
Yeah.
And then there's been, we do have a few listings here and there, and a couple of new ones now and again, much lower scale than normal, and definitely, only with specific scenarios.
Sure.
But those properties are still getting quite a bit of activity.
They are, I know.
Right. And, it's a different type of activity maybe, but we're still getting requests to view. We're still getting offers through. I mean, we had 2 properties get accepted offers this week, or I guess within the last week on listings of ours, because our listings have definitely, we've pulled back on the listing side for sure. And we've had buyers that are wanting to get out there, but I think for myself, I mean, I'm a dad of 2 young kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's my son's fourth birthday today, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. And, I've got a mom who is a community health nurse, and she's out there and working the front lines. I've got, friends who work in those fields. I've got a client who's an emergency doctor. So just, all these different things for me just add some added perspective that maybe not everybody has, where, it's got to be it's got to be a pretty sure thing for me to be going out anywhere with a buyer. And for me, I'm not going out and showing tons of properties. If somebody's jumping up and down, like I have to get in there and there's a very specific reason it has to happen in a quick time frame,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll figure it out. But similar way, I would ask another agent to review all the online content and review everything before they book a viewing of one of my listings. I do the same thing with my buyer clients right now before requesting access. And that's out of respect for, the clients on the other side, the other agent, myself, my own health and their health.
For sure.
Right. It's just, and also just, there's a big part of me that wants to kind of stay the F home, right? Like
Totally.
like they keep putting out there.
Have you seen any delay or challenge with booking trades and stuff like that? I know because we've had a couple inspections in the last week, and the home inspectors are requesting that no one is home. We leave property on a lockbox so they can get in by themselves. They don't even want to meet us there. And then I've had appraisers call and say, hey, we're not doing in-person appraisals anymore. Can you answer these few questions for me? And I just send them the video and all the photos and floor plans so that they've got all that marketing material.
Yeah.
So they can essentially walk through a property. But there's a lot more that goes into a real estate transaction than I think a lot of people even understand or aware of. And it's like all the way down that chain, there's adjustments in business practices. So even just like a fluid transaction that might take a week now could potentially take a little bit longer because of all those extra steps that people are taking in their businesses. Have you had problems with like booking any of those types of appointments?
We're starting to run into some challenges a little bit. Not so much, well, a little bit on the trade side too. I mean, it wasn't one of the listings, but one of my partner's properties, she has a rental property, and like she's got these amazing tenants. And the guy sent an email. He's like, I'm so sorry that this is happening right now, but of course they get a leak right from one of the bathrooms. And so trying to get a plumber on site ASAP was very challenging, right? In fact, I think it's taking about a week and they're supposed to come in a couple of days. So hopefully that doesn't change if things are to escalate. But on the service provider within the industry, I mean, first, you nailed it. I think a lot of people don't realize how many balls are in the air at all times, right? That if any one of those balls falls and hits the ground, the whole thing can collapse. And so now adding extra steps to each one of those layers can for sure be challenging, right? And for example, if you've got a listing where there's a tenant and they're not comfortable having people access their home, well, how are you supposed to tell them that's not okay?
Totally.
Right? You have to respect that. At least I feel that you do. And so what we've seen on the appraisal side is you're right, is that they're looking at a lot of the online content. We've actually had a request where they will basically asking you to FaceTime even the homeowner to basically take a walk through the property with them. And they'll still show up and do their measurements on the exterior and take the exterior photos, but they're not going inside the property. And I think it's very cool that they're adapting and still, they're keeping that part of the chain moving. So because obviously they're such an imperative part of the process, and that the banks have stepped up and they've said, don't worry, things are going to get funded, things are going to happen. They're like you said, there might be a little bit more of a delay in the background than there has been in the past. So we have to be ready for that, but they're finding ways to make it work. We had we've chatted with a few of the larger law firms because obviously a lot of clients are like, what happens? What if the law office can't open? What if I can't go see them? What if I can't, what if land titles closes and all these things? And so getting reassurances from the lawyers and the land titles offices that, things will continue to proceed as normal, at least for the foreseeable future, barring, more extreme stuff happening. But for now, but yeah, I mean, making sure that everything is going to move along is tough.
For sure. Are you having difficulty? Because I know I am in the last week or so in just providing advice to people and answering questions. A lot. I had someone yesterday saying, "I've got this home that I want to list for sale. We plan to list the first week of April. If this health concern keeps going for 3 months, and I list it in July when this is done or whatever it is, what's the market going to be like in July?" Like, how do you answer those questions?
Loaded questions. Yeah. I think that for me, and at least the advice that I've kind of offered to other agents and within our team is that, I think that sometimes real estate professionals can get in a habit of giving kind of blanket information.
Yes.
Where, this is what's going on with the market. Yes, this is going to be a great time. Yes, spring when things start blooming and whatever. We have to be really careful about that. Yeah. I think now more so than ever, because I think every single situation is going to be totally unique and different people's level of motivation and what they're trying to do. And I think really getting to the root of all that before giving any type of advice, I think is going to be, I think that's an important step no matter what. But now it's even more crucial, right? And but yeah, as far as where people feel, when they want to know what's going to happen with the market, I think it's, and this may echo some of what Jamie was saying as well. I'm not sure, but for me, for those who don't know, I work a lot in East Vancouver. That's kind of my primary market. That's where I do a ton of my business. And back then, we saw about a 4-month slowdown, 3 to 4 months, and we saw obviously a dip in prices and dip in activity. But within 6 months, we were right back up to the level of activity, and within 7, we'd actually surpassed previous sales peaks for price and volume. So it has potential to recover very quickly. I think that X factor right now is we just don't know how long that's going to be.
Totally.
Right? Are we, in quarantine mode like this for the next 2 weeks? If we get good news, is it a month? We just don't know yet. It's so early.
Yeah.
I think the next few weeks will be very telling. And then beyond that, I think that when the dust settles, I do think that we'll enter into a pretty robust market though, because I'm sure you guys are feeling it as well, but really it felt like the market was just starting to kind of roar back to life, where there was more inventory coming up and product for the pent up demand. The interest rates were, in the buyer's favor. There was starting to be quite a bit of activity. We're seeing multiple offers happen quite often again. There was some big prices happening again. Still not quite recovered to the peaks of the market in my primary marketplace, at least. But and then the tap just kind of turned off again when all this started hitting. So I definitely think there's potential for a pretty robust marketplace when the smoke clears.
I think, like, even just for us specifically, we've had, I'd say, at least 5 listings that would be listing early April, just hanging on and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
So if our one team has 5, I'm sure you guys have it that much or more. As soon as health scares go away and the recommendation to stay inside is gone, all those people are going to be listing. So there's just going to be a ton of inventory, which for me, I think on a buyer side would be a good thing. Right? Yeah. Like right now, there's just not much new inventory, and anything.
Yeah.
Seems like things that are coming up are not necessarily the good ones on good streets that are, those top tier properties. It's more like the people who are still wanting to move. Maybe that young family that just had their second kid who now can't live in that 2-bedroom condo, and they need to make the jump. It just doesn't work for their family anymore. And I don't know. It's a guess, obviously, and it depends, I think, a lot on time of year too. Like if we're inside for the next couple months and we get a turnaround in October, probably is still a slow fall. but lots of new listings. I don't know. It's a challenge to give people advice right now.
Totally,
Mm-hmm.
totally. And like you said, it's a bit of a guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's anybody's guess. I think that, just what we were seeing, and that's why I'm also specific about, the pockets that I work exclusively, because
Yeah.
it's, when I start stepping out of my, my specialized areas, it's like, I can't speak to them as well. But I think that for us, there, if we do see that inventory grow, I don't think that, because we're similar to you guys. We have listings that are kind of on hold, just waiting to see when the right time will be. And we've got some stuff that will come up sooner just because of circumstance.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's enough of that inventory in the marketplaces we work that will match buyer demand.
Totally.
Or it will, there will be enough buyer demand where it's not going to be, a big slowdown, or it's going to turn into a huge buyer's market. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of bring it back to the way things went in 08, 09, was that, I remember, when I started, I was fortunate to start with my aunt and uncle, who were a pretty prominent brand already. And they kind of brought me into the business. And we ended up actually having a really good year at that time, because people wanted the comfort of going with an established brand rather than somebody who was brand new, or something along those lines, just because they were nervous. They wanted that reassurance of somebody who has a track record, right?
Yeah.
And but what we saw was that, I remember having open houses even back then, and there'd be people coming through. And for sure, there was people who were pretty bullish, right? That they were waiting for the right time to strike, and that we weren't quite at the bottom yet, and all this kind of stuff. And you know, I remember seeing them, 6 8 months, a year later, when the market had recovered, and they weren't looking at detached houses anymore. They were looking at townhouses,
Right.
or they were looking at condos, because the market, when it turned back pretty quickly. And I, I would, it's a hard, like you said, it's anybody's guess. I think that there's a good chance it's going to go that way again. Um, Maybe not with the same recovery in prices, just because we didn't see as large of a dip in prices yet,
Right.
as well. So I don't know that it'll explode back up that way, but I think the level of activity will be comparable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be back to, potentially, more than one buyer on a property, and more than anything, just at a pace that's quite fast.
Yeah. How are you guys taking advantage of slow times right now to grow for the future? I know a lot of agents are just kind of sitting at home and saying, "Oh, this is a nice 2-week vacation." But like, from a business perspective, from an entrepreneur's perspective, how do we take advantage of a slow time like this to benefit us 6 months down the road when this is gone?
Well, I think a lot of people should take a look at what you're doing, Denny, and what your team's doing.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I mean, you guys are still putting out content and offering information and staying in touch with people, communicating. I think that there's a real, um, there's a real risk to be taken by people who who put their foot on the brake while this is happening. We're still professionals, and we still need to be working, but the type of work we're doing might be a little bit different. For people who make themselves a schedule every day, I think their schedule probably looks a little different now than it did before. But if we're not staying in constant communication with our client base and letting people know what's going on and keeping them informed, and I think, speaking to them with, you spoke to it earlier about staying on top of all these changes. If you're not able to speak to them with some confidence and
Yes.
some reassurance to their personal situation, uh, I think that's what they're looking to us for. They're not looking to us to have a crystal ball and be able to predict exactly what's going to happen. But I think they need to know that we are educated on what's going on, and that we're on top of things, and that we, it might even just be, you know, reaffirming something that they've already heard, but they need to be hearing from us.
Yeah.
And I think that if people aren't setting themselves up to hit the ground running when the smoke clears, um, I think that those are the people who are really going to struggle. I think so. I think you guys are doing a lot of great things. There's some other teams out there, and individual agents for that matter as well, who I think are doing a great job of staying in touch with people and putting their faces out there, and staying positive. And like positivity, man, I know you talk about it a lot, and mindset and positivity in times like this is like so crucial,
Huge.
right? It's just so crucial. It's so easy for people to fall out of routine and kind of just sit on the couch and get complacent. And I think, there's this part of me that, when I see a break, I want to take it too. But, and I think it's okay to take some of those. But if you don't keep doing those little things every day and keep a positive attitude as we move forward, I mean, it's really easy for it to take a sharp turn quickly.
It's easy. So in something like that, obviously there's so much negativity on social media, in news articles that you're reading. The headlines are always negative. I'm finding a lot of value in sending out, whether it's emails, texts, depending on who past clients are, but just connecting with past clients that I haven't talked to in a few months or a year, and hearing their perspectives. They're like, yeah, it's kind of great. I'm at home with my dog all day. I'm still working full time, but like I'm in my pajamas and it's wicked. I get to hang out with my dog.
Totally.
So it's kind of cool just to, like, one, great opportunity to connect with past clients for sure right now.
Yeah.
But two, just to get like a more positive outlook, because it seems like the people who are actually at home who are still working are feeling a lot better. Like, not necessarily good about it, but they're just like, it is what it is. I'm adapting. I'm working from home now and chilling in my pajamas all day. It's not bad.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. I think building on those relationships, right? And I don't want to take away from the negative things that have happened. Like, some people are being really impacted
For
by
sure.
this stuff, right? Whether on a health level or economic level, whatever it may be. But at the same time, it's like, this is not the end of days, and the world's still turning, and things still need to happen. We all need. It's just, yeah. So yeah, it's nice hearing those things from those people, because I look at it like, yeah, I'm still working. I'm at home like 98% of the time right now. It's rare that I'm leaving my house unless it's to take my kids for a walk or maybe get some groceries potentially, or the occasional appointment that I can't handle digitally or on the phone. But, I'm getting to spend way more time with my kids and my wife and my dog than I normally get to with our line of work.
For
And
sure.
I'm just trying to milk that as much as I can, and still try to stay productive on top of it. And I agree with you. I think talking to other people and hearing what they're doing and hearing their story and how things are going for them is it's so key for them and for us.
Do you think long term, regardless of real estate or not, but do you think just social interactions, do you think this is kind of an eye opener for a lot of people? Do you think we will like go back to handshaking is normal again? Or do you think it's more like this is projection of how social interactions are going to go in the future?
That's a great question. I've heard other people talk about that a little bit as well. Some of it almost in like in jest, and some of it, becomes a little bit serious.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's hard for me because I'm a hugger, man. Like, I'm a hugger, and I like a good firm handshake. Like, I've always been that kind of guy, and you're right. I laughed when you said that earlier. It's like, where did this all come from? It's a great question, right? It's like, at what stage did people start doing this kind of stuff? And it's so I think that would be a tough change for me, but it might be something that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that at the very least, I've always kept a thing of hand sanitizer in my car.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that, just not because I'm a germaphobe, but just like, we like shake so many hands we touch so many doorknobs and all these different things all the time in our line of work. To me, it's just like, it just became a habit, right? And so I would hope that, if nothing else, people learn on a sanitary level, like, not even if people don't have bad hygiene, but just to get a little bit better about it. But long term, yeah, are we doing the toe tap? Right? Like, are we, or are we just saying hello and waving from afar? I don't know. It's a great question.
I really hope it's not the toe tap. If it's a toe tap, I might have to switch industries. Like, this is not for me. Yeah. I'm into the bow. I'm into a wave, whatever.
Sure.
An air high five. The toe tap, I can't do it.
No, I can't do the toe tap. No, it doesn't work for me. But totally. For me, hello, just or does it have to be any type of gesture, right? Can it not just be hello?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, like, my mind kind of works in weird ways sometimes, but I'm constantly thinking back of like, who invented this handshake? Like when you walk into a social situation, why is it rude to not touch someone else? Like, why do you have to touch them? I don't get it. Who started that thing?
Yeah, it's totally,
right?
And it's funny you say that because with somebody, like if you extend your hand and somebody refuses it,
it's awkward. It's strange.
Is there a bigger burn than that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love ending things on positive notes. So
yeah,
something that you are super excited about that you've been able to do more of in the last couple of weeks because you've been home.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I just touched on it a little bit, but just the extra time I'm getting to spend with my family.
Yeah. Do you have two kids?
I have two kids. I've got my oldest just turned 4, and then my other one's about a year and a half old, 2 boys. And, just getting to spend so much additional time with them. And like at that age, they just change so fast, right? So being able to watch it hands on a little bit more than I get to normally with, my younger one adding all these words and my older one, it's just the energy between them and watching them with their mom. And it's just, it's been very, very cool. And so I think that more than anything has been something really positive to hold on to when people are floating so much negativity out there. So
totally,
no, that's great for me.
In a few weeks from now, though, when we go back to normal or however long it is, your kids are going to be like, Dad, where are you going? You're like, I got to go to work. And they're like, what's that? What's work? What do you mean you're leaving? This is ridiculous.
My oldest one's pretty funny, actually. He says, Dad, it's okay. You can go work on your pewter. And I said, okay, cool. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, I'll just be a little while.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Corey, thanks for jumping on here. We will have to connect again soon when it is.
It's an honor.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for doing it. I would like to wish your son a very happy birthday. Happy 4th birthday.
Yes. Thank you, sir. We call it, it's his quarantine birthday party today.
Love it.
Just with the family.
Love it. I did I don't know if you saw on social media.
Doing, man. Say that again.
I don't know if you saw on social media, I did a quarantine Olympics.
Yeah.
Just like made up a bunch of games at home.
Yeah.
Might have to do round 2 soon, but I had a bunch of like past clients and friends just reach out and be like, I'm doing this with my kid tonight. That was so funny.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, we're having a good time with it, man. It's make the best out of tough scenarios, right?
Totally.
But Denny, I got to say, keep pumping out the content, man. It's nice to have that extra boost of positive energy especially coming from our local industry, right? When it's lacking. So keep it going.
I appreciate that a lot.
Thanks, man.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.